I think this is super awesome. Our first story, really good feel good story of the last year. And I guess, the problems of our last year will follow us into 2021. By the way, happy new year, everybody.
It is a new
Um,
year, absolutely. We are recording this after the new year, so happy
yeah,
2021. I hope it's a whole hell of a lot better for you than 2020.
2020 was pretty good to me, but anyways, it was not good to other people, and a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs had a rough go.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, you know, a guy that I talk a lot about on this show, Dave Portnoy, the founder of Barstool Sports,
Mm-hmm.
was tweeting and he's making videos about how he can't believe New York City shut down restaurants again and all this, this, that, and the third. And he got challenged by CNBC's Marcus Lemonis, who, he has a show where he goes around the country and he buys up businesses. And I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I'm just saying if you Google his name, you might find some people who've dealt with him who thought he was less than great to deal with.
Anybody
Um,
that buys up uh,
Failing
failing
businesses
businesses or
is,
at risk businesses
yeah,
or whatever is
it's already,
traditionally looked at as slimy, right?
yeah. And anyways, that's none of that is the point. He said to Dave Portnoy, put your money where your mouth is. You put up 500,000, I'll put up 500,000. Right now, the Barstool Fund, as it has been come to be named, the Barstool Fund, and I pulled up their website right now. When I put this in our show notes, because I build all of the notes for this show. Big Man has no idea how this show happens. He just hits record. I pick the stories. The fund was at $7 million. Now you might be thinking
Woo!
that's amazing. They raised $7 million for struggling businesses in America.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but that warms my heart. Okay,
Well,
my
but you,
cholesterol-ridden heart.
you did send this story to me, and you attached not only the Barstool Sports but also Guy Fieri, right? And he did something very similar, but he wasn't
Yep.
challenged to do it. Of course, he's in the restaurant industry, right, as
Right.
well.
So
Um,
he raised $21 million specifically for restaurants, which
well,
were the hardest hit of the industry, hardest hit industry of the.
and that's what I found about both these stories they're very very similar, right? They're
Yeah.
helping certain people. When you get somebody like a Guy Fieri raising money for his industry specifically, you get what you get with that kind of name. You have an audience, and you and I talk about this a lot about an audience. When you have
Yeah.
an audience like his and access like his, Guy Fieri not only went out and found people to donate, he found Pepsi donated. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I think $1 million or something like that. There was a couple of different big companies that go, "Hey, Guy Fieri's got his name on it. This is a tax write-off for us anyway." And he said it, and what I liked about sometimes with people like this, and I don't know about the other one, but I know the Guy Fieri, I read a lot about this one. He actually did it right. And when I say by did it right, we're talking about he's raised millions, like you said, $21.5 million, and I think it's still going, right?
21 and a half.
Over a period of
Yep.
like 7
No, his
weeks or
fund I
something
think
like
is
that.
done, but
Well, but anyway, the point is, what I mean is they set it up and then they did it right. He had things like 80% that what they did is they sent out $500 checks, right?
yeah.
They sent out $500 gifts to people in the restaurant industry that, oh, by the way, in 2020, I was mortified by this number. In 2020, it's estimated that 3.4 million people in the restaurant and hospitality business lost their job
Yeah.
or got
That's
cut
a
back
lot
in.
of people.
Okay, that's a ton of people, right?
That's a lot of people in one industry. And sometimes, the hospitality business, whether it's hotels, restaurants, what have you, they're more likely to be family businesses because
Absolutely.
there's not a huge technical scale to leap there. So that is concerning because it's not like mom loses her job and dad keeps going to work. It's mom lost her job at dad's restaurant, which is owned by dad's dad. So now everybody's out of work
And that includes the 25-year-old son that's worked there since he was 16 and the
and
daughter
doesn't have any
that
other skills and doesn't know how to do nothing else. So, and this includes, hey, for people who are who are concerned about these matters. I'm not that kind of guy, but this is a lot of immigrants, by the way. This is a lot of a lot of
absolutely.
people come to this country, and the best skill they bring is they bring their foreign culture, and they bring their weird food, and Americans eat that stuff up literally. And that is like, so what is different about Barstool's fund is, with this roughly at $6.5 million today, they are, and I loved, what's actually interesting is Guy Fieri did a Barstool, a Dave Portnoy style. He calls it the emergency press conference, right? Prez does these all the time. Dave Portnoy, El Prez. And so they do these emergency press conferences. And Fieri did one very similar to how he does them. And he endorsed the Barstool Fund. And so this is awesome that he's doing it. And the way that it's different is they are literally going through people's payroll. They're saying, okay, you had a successful business for 5 years. You got slammed by 2020s. 2020 just nailed you. And they're not just doing restaurants. They're doing all sorts of businesses, haberdasheries, and which is just a fancy way of saying men's clothing store. If you're the kind of fellow that shops at a haberdashery, I think, well,
Stop
anyways,
it. They all need help, Danny. If you were affected by 2020, you needed help.
I'll keep my opinion to myself.
Yeah.
So they're at this point supporting 56 businesses, which sounds like, well, that's not enough for 16 million. They're covering payroll because they're going to people's books and saying, hey, I liquidated my savings to get my guys paid. We're closed. I have no revenue. I'm trying to keep my thing floating. This shouldn't happen to me. I had a successful business for however many years. And I love watching the videos of Dave calling up these people and saying, hey, we're going to cover your payroll until you're open again.
See, isn't that this and people here, look, we're a business podcast, right? We talk about business and we talk about how businesses affect businesses and yada yada. And this is a great story, but here, one thing I want people to get out of this is you realize that even on this, we're talking about large scale right now, right? We're talking about millions and millions of dollars being raised for companies to pay payroll or whatever. You as a small business, I don't care if you're a 1-person business or a 5-person business or a 500-person business, the amount of marketing that's out there by helping other people is legit endless. I have again, this, I've taught classes all around the country about marketing and this kind of stuff. And one of my biggest things is go out and help your community, your high school. You know how I have built a business around coaching my kids' teams, which I was going to do anyway. Right?
Right, yeah.
And I don't paint them with my logo over their backs or any of that kind of stuff. It just comes up in conversation, right?
Of course, yeah.
This year we donated, I got, I don't remember how many referrals, but at the beginning of the year, this school year, I went out and bought custom middle school masks for all of the teachers, janitors, principals,
everybody.
And gave them for them. It had the middle school logo, not my logo. They were customized for the middle school. Gave them because the school district was not going to give them masks to wear for the school. They didn't have them at the beginning of the school year. Yeah. So I went out and custom had those done for the school. Didn't have my information on it or whatever. But you think I didn't get business? There are so many, whether it's
and schools, let me just say something.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because people are going to have that's going to feel icky to some people but here's the point. This is how society works. Like, there's nothing wrong with doing a good thing for the sake of doing a good thing and reaping some sort of benefit, because you get to do more good things that way.
They want you to. They want you to. I took those masks up there. I had no plans to take a photo. I had no plans to. I didn't do any of that. But you know what happened that day? I got tagged in countless. My business got tagged in countless numbers of people posting on Facebook that this company bought us masks right here at the middle school as teachers, as janitors, and whatever. Yeah. I didn't ask for. That's my point. The people that you are helping want your business to succeed so that you will come back and help again, or you'll help somebody else.
And so and now I'm going to say something in the realm of the political for a moment here. There is an economist of the Austrian school named F.A. Hayek. He theorized or postulated this theory called spontaneous order. And what that effectively means is when there's a problem, people will come together to solve the problem, right?
Sure.
And so, for instance, I remember there was an earthquake in Haiti, and this is back when I lived up in Minnesota. a famous Christian rapper named Lecrae came to Minneapolis. There was a nightclub that was owned by a church. Big failure, dumb choice. And he shot a music video. He made a song specially for the earthquake. Donated all of the proceeds to earthquake relief. Shot the video in the club. I'm somewhere. If you pause the video somewhere, you can probably find me. But it was dark in there, so you probably can't. But all I'm saying is, people, when there's a crisis, a legitimate crisis, people come together, and as someone who is generally a little more jaded and of a more sarcastic sense of humor, this kind of stuff warms my heart nearly to tears. And I think it's what people don't understand is when entrepreneurs are given the leeway and the opportunity, we'll take care of other people, right?
Well, at least the majority of us. Now, there's
Yeah,
no
I'm just
blanket
saying,
rule
like,
that applies to everybody, but yes,
Of course, there's no such thing as a blanket rule that
right.
applies to
But the
everybody,
majority of us will come together, and that because
we
also-
understand the cost benefit. Like, we understand I'm going to do something good, and on its own, just by itself in a vacuum, this is a good thing, but it's going to come back.
Well, what you said just a second ago, to some people that may feel wrong. This is one of the things, and I'll be honest with you, I had that same feeling in the beginning, right? Before I started doing it on a regular basis, because I thought that same way. But if you're listening to this podcast, do something small for something around your network,
Right.
and see how it feels, and it will change your mind, because that's what happened to me. Is it changed when I did something small, and then I did the next thing, and then I did the next thing. It felt so good, and the people that I was helping were so appreciative that it overrides that fear, because that's what it is, right? It's fear.
Totally.
That, oh my God, I'm doing this for a self-serving reason, and the people that get that help do not care. The people that get that help do not care that even if you are doing it for selfish reasons, and I'm not saying everybody should, I'm just saying that the people that get that help don't care what those reasons are. That if Pepsi was to give everybody, last night at the New Year's Eve, they were giving away $1 million. They did this Powerball thing where they gave away like $5 million prizes to random families, and to see these families on television get picked for the $1 million, it was insane. You could tell it was changing their lives. Now that's $1 million prize, but I'll give you another example. And again, I don't like this tooting my own
horn. $1 million is way better than a kick in the teeth, man.
Well, but here's the deal. Like, I don't mean, my wife and I for the last couple of years have helped promote an organization here in town that nobody would recognize, so it doesn't matter. But the point is we've helped them, and what they do is they set up needy families during Christmas that wouldn't otherwise have a Christmas, right?
Right.
And they find people to essentially adopt a family, right? And you go
and
out
buy
and
all their gifts.
You buy, well, not in this one. You buy not only the gifts, and this is why my wife joined. We partnered with this one. Is they not only buy gifts for the mom or the dad, the kids, whoever's in the family, right? However many people in the family, you also buy 2 weeks worth of groceries.
That's great.
You know what I mean? You buy them. You buy all the kids a jacket, gloves, a hat, right? So it's like this. It's like this total care package, because guess what? It's Texas. We don't need a jacket most of the year, but you know what I mean?
There's a couple days of the year where you do need a jacket, and
yesterday was one of those days, right?
Yeah.
But we partner because when you deliver, and you deliver that yourself, like, it doesn't go to the organization. They set you up with a direct line of contact with the person you adopted.
So you feel good about it. You know that it went to those people.
I take my kids. My kids are 13, 12, and 12. We've done it for the last several years. You think that doesn't have an impact on my children? That they go with us and help unload. My wife wraps the presents, of course, and she does the whole thing. And these kids are taking groceries into a house that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're seeing how that affects, and these other kids that are just, their face
happy
lights
to get
up,
something,
right?
Yeah, of
and
course.
Stuff like that. So all of this goes into that same pot of, as entrepreneurs, as people, as that kind of stuff. If you can create so much business and goodwill by helping even on a really, really small scale, your neighborhood, right? The kids down the street, the buying T-shirts for your local baseball team, right? 12-year-old baseball team, even if you don't have a kid. There are so many needs out there that you could pick from a plethora on any given day. But what happens is, and this is one of the things as we do this podcast, I hope we get people, is action is the only way to succeed. Right?
Yeah.
Everybody thinks, oh, I should do this every now and then. Oh, well, I see that, man, maybe I could help. And they do nothing. That's 2021. It's a new year. Find something in January now that you can do, even on a small, there's things that you can do for 10, 15, $20.
Listen, there is a guy back in Minneapolis that there's some video, I forget who it's from, and I ran into him once when I was at a gas station. He drives around in a van. He wakes up every day at 10 o'clock at night, and he goes and feeds homeless people sandwiches. He's a retired teacher, doesn't have a family, and that was his goal. Like, I was going to retire, and and it's a whole thing. Now there's groups getting together to make sandwiches, to go deliver sandwiches. He now has, I think they said 10 refrigerators in his one-bedroom apartment. Go find that thing that to you sings to you. To me, I'm a big guy. I don't really know what it's like to be really hungry. I know what it's like to man, I should eat something.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it's like to be starving. And so I really connect with that concept of feeding hungry people. It's the oldest. And so, we'll close with this. There's this guy named Tony Robbins.
Mm-hmm.
And he tells the story of how he grew up destitute without a dad or something along those lines. And there wasn't food for Thanksgiving. And one Thanksgiving or Christmas, there's a knock on the door.
It was Thanksgiving. It's every Thanksgiving now. It's every Thanksgiving now, yeah.
Yeah, but so somebody popped up and showed up with a turkey. And he resolved, I think he said, the first year he did it, he was just, I fed 10 people. I fed 10 families. You can say whatever the heck you want to say about Tony Robbins. You can say whatever the heck you want about his business. But the guy is out there, and I think he's feeding tens of millions of people.
Oh, yeah, every Thanksgiving at this point. His foundation or whatever he created.
Yeah.
There's a name specifically for that nonprofit that he has.
Yeah, I forget what it is.
He's feeding a whole bunch of people is the point.
So, I'm the kind of person where, and I don't actually have a beef with his business, but I know people who do, and they're like, oh, he's just, whatever promotional. I don't care, man.
The guy does it. Look, if you can say this about a bunch of people, right? Bill Gates.
He does more good than he does harm for people.
Bill Gates, Tony Robbins, right? All these different people or whatever. There's a lot of people.
Let's not go there with Bill Gates.
Oh, okay? Whatever. Okay. Yeah, he only puts more money in philanthropy than anybody else in the world. But all right. Sure, we'll leave him out of it. Get out of here.
Philanthropy.
Yes,
okay.
Yeah. I know. Is the mark of the beast. Yada, yada, yada.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Trying to inject me with microchips. Catch me on the street, Bill Gates.
Woo!
We'll see how your sweater survives.
That is amazing. Hey, the point of this entire story was they're giving money to people that help it. I think,
and it's beautiful. And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. It's a wonderful sentiment.